trying to write all this down in a book, and I told my banjo playing cousin Max the other day. I said, I think I'm 90% there. He said, oh, that last 10% is 90%. So trying to write the story of all this. I just happened to live through a time of change, you know, and just to finish that last little thing, I did leave school, and in the middle of a snowstorm, I hitchhiked down to Baltimore and stayed with a man named Jack Tottle. And I was so hungry for bluegrass, and Jack knew it, and he was a really dear friend. He's still around, he's over in Hawaii. And so I'd sleep on the couch until Jack had to get up and go to work. Then he'd give me his bed, and I'd get into bed, and he put a tape recorder at the foot of the bed, and he put on Scotty Stoneman. Everybody know who Scotty Stoneman is? You know, when Bill Monroe, Richard Green and I, when we were with Bill, we were championing Scotty, because he'd come down to Nashville and live with his sisters and his brother Jay, who played bass. But Scotty was pyro, you know, fire technique, pyro technique. We considered him like Jimi Hendrix. And we were so happy that there were people in bluegrass that were like beyond they were like taking it further, you know? And our whole orientation too was jazz, you know? We listened to people like Stuff Smith playing fiddle in the jazz thing. Richard was a fiddler, and so he was, you know, he and David Grisman led the charge towards anything connected with jazz. And I was a willing participant in all of that. It was a little beyond me with a big old D28 with strings an inch and a half off the neck, but, you know. So when I got to DC that night, after I got to sleep all day in the bed, Alice Foster, or Alice Gerard was there, Mike Seeger was around, Carl Chadsky, Tom Gray of the Country Gentlemen was there. It was the first time I saw Tom. I was standing at the White Castle, thinking there was no cover next door at the Shamrock, and I was thinking I could spend $1 on 5 mini hamburgers, you know. And then I found out people will serve an underage person in a bar. Just the way it is. And my first sight I just have to tell you this, my first sight of bluegrass, there was a little diamond-shaped door at the Shamrock, and it was green, or even multicolored. It was just one of those glass things in this wooden door, Shamrock. And I could hear the music inside, and I'd come all the way from upstate New York in the middle of winter to find the Country Gentlemen. And I looked in that window, and it was all, I couldn't figure out how the records could sound so dynamic, right? With runs coming in, and little fills coming in, and like this interplay. And then I saw it. One microphone, Charlie Waller with his guitar up like this, hammering the G run, bang-a-ding-a-ding, you know, and Duffy following it with a, you know, the mandolin, and Eddie Adcock, you know, and Tom Gray, you know, and it was like, that was it.
Yeah.
That was the end. The end of college education. I thought that interplay was the most exciting thing I'd seen. And I had seen Chuck Berry when I was 14. And I had a dance band up in Boston called the Cupids. And our best gig was when I was 14, and we played a Catholic girls' school May Day festival. It was nothing but nuns and 14-year-old girls. It was and I was like the god Pan. I got to dance with all these girls and actually do the maypole thing, where you wind these colored ribbons. But you know, for a young kid playing rock and roll, you know, which was really innocent music at the time, you know, it's, where are you going to go after you've been to Paris? You know, no, that was just the excitement of youth, you know, and the joy of. The joy of 14-year-old girls. But I mean, it was so innocent, you know what I mean? It was just really innocent. And music, again, it seemed to be about joy, you know. So I went in the Shamrock, and it was the first of many, many stops at the Shamrock. And I couldn't believe